Hey everybody, I am back in Paris and they're making noise over there. Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. And I'm gonna let everybody, I know you gotta refresh the page to be able to get in. So I actually recorded this earlier from Bordeaux, trying to give you guys a little look at Bordeaux because I had to hop on a train today, but I just could not get that video to upload, so we're just going to go ahead and do this live right now, and hopefully that's going to be a wonderful thing. So I would love to, hey Rachel, I would love to have any comments about how you did over the weekend. How did you do with, your detector, setting your expectations and imagining that when you wake up or when you're moving through life, redirecting yourself in that present moment so that that which you are detecting in this world is in alignment with what you genuinely desire. Sorry, there are trucks that are next to this great apartment that we are renting right now. It does have an absolutely gorgeous garden that's like an olive tree behind us and some lavender. At any rate, so I would love to hear how you did that this weekend. I would love to hear if you felt like you were able to kind of stay in a better place in terms of staying in the present moment, realizing that you're literally creating magic every moment, every single moment that we are alive. Our expectations, our thoughts, our feelings are literally causing reality to sort of snap into being around us in ways that align with that. So I would love to hear if anybody has those thoughts or feelings on what they felt like over the weekend. So as I say, I just literally got off the train from Bordeaux like half an hour ago. The high-speed trains in Europe are like no joke. They go 184 miles an hour. So like, woo! We were from Bordeaux to Paris in like 2 hours, which is impressive. So what are we talking about today? So we're going to build on the concept of last week, and we're just going to add a little bit. So we're going to talk today about the idea that because matter is energy and energy is matter, and it's all the same at all times. We literally have the dual nature of reality, even as I sit here right now, is still happening. So because of that, you can actually, even though we have been trained to think of things in our life as so solid, and certainly more than anything, our bodies, things that happen within our bodies as solid, as unchangeable. The reality is that is as changeable as anything else. And you can release what you don't want and start to attract what you do. So let me tell you about exactly what I mean by that. So I want you to think about if you were looking at yourself in a mirror, or looking down at your body and thinking about your body. And I know you might have some bad thoughts and judgments. We'll get to those later. But for now, just be gentle. You'll probably feel like all of it's very solid. But because of what we learned last week, you know that it's actually energy at the same exact time. So when you have something that shows up in your body, and a lot of the work I do is obviously in translating the message behind people's pain and disease and helping them heal. And so I see this happen all the time. And it sounds unbelievable. It sounds incredulous. It sounds crazy, but I see people that they have, a tumor. And so let's think about what a tumor is. It's scary. It's horrible. We have all lost people to cancer. Cancer sucks on a level that isn't even, there's not really words for it. However, let's just, for now, take a tumor. Tumor is what? A tumor is simply energy that has turned into solid. It's not solid you want, right? Not solid you want. But it is energy that is turned into solid. Now, later on in the Manifest Your Dream Life, we'll talk about epigenetics. We'll talk about how our expectations actually turn on and off things in our DNA now, which causes people to either have or not have genetic diseases. So I'm actually beyond thrilled because epigenetics is giving a scientific basis to a huge amount of the work that I have done for pretty much my whole life, but probably 16, 17 years now at this point, in terms of the healing work. So that tumor is simply solid that has turned, or energy that has turned into solid that we don't want, right? So conversely, if your body can take the energy and turn it into solid, it can also break it down and release the energy. So let's think about that for a second, because every single day, our bodies do that automatically, okay? We take in food, and when we take in food, it has a certain amount of calories. And what are calories? But units of energy. But we can only access that energy when it's broken down. So when it goes into our bodies and it gets broken down, what does it get broken down into? It gets broken down into energy. Solid is broken down into energy and helps power us. Or if we eat too much, it becomes solid again. in terms of, like, you know, a little bit of extra fat here or there that maybe we do or do not want, depending on your situation. Now, let's think about it a different way, okay? So if you go, let's say, go to the gym and you go to a spin class, you go to an aerobics class, you just go, you know, get yourself a nice workout of any kind. Then let's say you have an instructor and they're saying, hey, you just crushed it. You know, you burned 400 calories in the last hour, which is great, right? So what does burning 400 calories mean? Burning 400 calories means your body took 400 units of basically solid and turned it into 400 units of energy. You literally turned solid into energy and burned it off and away from you, okay? So in that way, if we start to think about it that way, then we can start to think about the fact that your body is literally E equals MC squared in action, right? We talked about the fact that energy can be neither created nor destroyed. It can be turned into one or the other, and that it is sort of both depending on your perspective and what your expectations are, okay? So your body, if your body has the power to make things like extra fat or tumors, then it also has the power to turn it into energy and let it float away from you like smoke, okay? And again, realizing that this can be a challenging concept, especially for those of us who have seen people who have dealt with cancer, certainly things like with kids dealing with cancer and things like that. It's horrible. However, from a scientific standpoint, and in the work that I do see this. I can't not tell you, I have personally witnessed people that when you get the message that the body is sending and how this has shown up in their body, I have literally witnessed people actually having things like this just melt. I have seen people who had severe swelling, the swelling go away completely in an hour. And oftentimes it's because the body is feeling like it's been understood. The message has been heard, okay? So think about it this way. Whatever you don't want in your life right now is waiting around to be turned back into energy and to be released, okay? Now, here's the cool thing. All that released energy that is floating around all over the place is just floating around, and it wants to get back into something, you know? It wants to convert. So it's just waiting around to become the things that you're experiencing in life. So since that's the case, you want to think about the energy around you becoming the things that you desire. Now, I want you to think of, this is one little bit of homework for today. I want you to start thinking about everything in your life as simply energy, and it's simply energy that you are connecting with so that you can bring it into your life and turn it into solid, or in the case of like relationships and things like that, maybe not solid. I want to make a point about this though. So a lot of times what we do with the way things show up in our lives is we give them the label of good or bad. Totally understandably, because obviously nobody's ever going to say cancer is good. Nobody's ever going to say, you know, a bone spur is good, or any of the other things that, you know, we can have that happen to us physically. It's not good. Those aren't good. However, the great thing is that at the energy level, energy is neither good nor bad. It's just energy. So when you release something from your body, something like tumor, like excess weight, let's just say that, it can float off, it converts to energy. And because energy can be neither created nor destroyed, it's like the ultimate recycling situation, that energy then can float off and it wants to become something else. It's going to become something else, right? And so I want you to imagine when you release something in your life, I want you to imagine that it is going off and it is just simply recycling and converting into something beautiful and good. It does not have to. If you've released something like a tumor, it does not have to stay as negative energy. It does not. It's neutral. It goes off. You put the expectations upon it. So I want you to start to view everything when you release it with gratitude, and that it is coming back to you in the best way for your highest good. Okay? So let me give you an example that I see a lot in my work, and it's very understandable. So we as humans, we may say we want to let go of things, right? There may be negative relationships in our lives. There may be other things that are very difficult in our lives that we may want to release, right? And those things can be, I'm just making sure I'm not being too loud for the person up here. Okay. I think it's okay. Those things may be very, very difficult for us. And so we can hold on to things, you know, like, I don't know about you, but I've held on to relationships I shouldn't hold on to for longer than I should. Thankfully, I have a wonderful husband now, but even friendships, sometimes there's friendships that have run their course, and, you know, you don't want to necessarily just release them, right? Or you do, but you still feel like, is there going to be something that fills that void, or is there something good that's going to come back? And so, this should hopefully help. There's usually a grief process. A lot of the people I work with, there's a grief process. Even when it's something like you're releasing a toxic job, there's still a process of who you were in that job. And there's a grief around that, right? There can be a lot of those kinds of things, understandably. So in this case, instead, you can simply, and part of it is, I think people feel that they're filling, there's a void, right? Like, what if something better doesn't come along? I hear that a lot. Like, I just worked with somebody who had a really bad pattern of negative relationships, and she was like, well, what if something, you know, what if I never find something better? Well, if it's that bad of a person, like, anything's going to be better, really, almost. But once you shift the underlying beliefs, you don't have that happen anymore. So, however, it could still be hard. You can still hold on. Here's the deal, though. We can't hold on to the things we don't want and expect the things we do want to have to start to flow to us. It just doesn't happen, right? It's like if you overfilled your luggage and you wanted to shove one more, like, great thing in there and you can't fit it in, right? You got to make some space. A similar thing is here. You have to let go of what you don't want and believe that that energy is going off and becoming what you do want, that you're now attracting the right things. And so I feel like this sort of part of the science can kind of help with that, because you can see you can, like, actually say, I'm so grateful to release this from my life, whether it's a relationship, weight, job, whatever it is. I'm so grateful to be able to release this energy from my life, and I now see it flowing away from me and then coming back to me as energy I do want for my highest good, or a relationship I do want for my highest good, whatever that is, right? And so that kind of can help with the grief process of releasing, right? That can help us to see that when we release, we are making space for new. We are making space for better. We're never losing. We're actually just realigning with something better for ourselves, okay? And the final thing I want to talk about today is actually one of my favorite things. So we talked about E equals mc squared, and how, particles, energy can be neither created nor destroyed. Therefore, it's just everything's being recycled all the time. So if you're the kind of person, whatever it is you're desiring to be, to do, or maybe as a child, right? You told your mom or your dad, oh, I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be a singer. I want to be a writer. I want to whatever. And if you've ever had someone tell you something like, oh, well, you're too this, you're too that, you're too old, you're too young, you're too, people from our area never have that happen, whatever those things are. What that tells you inside yourself is that you don't have what it takes, that for a person, quote unquote, like you, to be able to be whatever it is you desire. Here's the cool thing that science has to say about that. So, because everything is just simply recycled, that means that in your body right now, you have particles that were once every possible thing you can imagine in the universe. So if you know Carl Sagan, he was just a really brilliant scientist, an absolutely wonderful human. I think one of his quotes was, "You are made of stardust." And he actually wasn't meaning that metaphorically. So when stars or anything in the world is broken down and goes into energy, right, then it's coming back together to form us, people, humans, and other things. So that means that literally, he actually meant literally, you are made of stardust. You are made of stars that have burned out, in the universe. You are made, if you think of anyone in your life or in the world, in the universe that you've admired, that maybe has done something you wanted to do. So I always say my daughter, I've always loved Shakespeare. I know it's a really random thing to love, but I've always loved Shakespeare. And my daughter finds the Shakespearean insults really hilarious. So I'll read them to her and we giggle. And anyways, it's a super random thing we do. And I always wanted to be a writer from the time I was a little kid. And Shakespeare is, come on, right? He's certainly up there with one of the best writers in the world. And so I have particles of Shakespeare inside me. Some of my particles have already been a world famous writer, right? Some of your particles have been too. If you want to be we've been looking at museums, Toulouse-Lautrec's and Van Gogh's and Monet's and all these things, which are stunning, and just being around the energy of the actual art is incredible. So if you've ever wanted to be a painter, you've got particles that have been there and done that. If you've ever wanted to be a famous singer, if you've ever wanted to own your own business, if you've ever wanted to become a great healer, if you've ever wanted to be a world traveler or adventurer or explorer, whatever it is, you have particles that have been there and done that. They're already inside you. They already compose you. Oop, here comes a bee. Hello, little bee. No, do not need no, not my espresso. No, thank you. Okay. Okay. Love honeybees. Don't want them in my espresso. So I want you to think about this as you think about what you desire to manifest. Whatever it is you desire to manifest, you already have particles who've done it. They're already inside you. And because I am determined to make this world a better place, I also want you to think about this. We have so many divisions in life, right? Because of religion, of skin color, of culture, of nationalities, of, gender, of sexual orientation, whatever it is. Here's the thing. We are made up of particles that were once every possible thing under the sun, every religion, every culture, every sexual orientation, every kind of person you can possibly imagine. Okay? So when you think about the fact, I'm glad, Joan, this is one of my favorite actually things, because division and hate for other people is ridiculous. Understandable sometimes. There's some bad people out there. I'm not going to say there's not. But it is ridiculous. So literally, inside you right now, as you sit there, you have particles that were once everything. So when we create division, when we hate other people, when we choose to look down upon other people, we're literally looking down upon ourselves. We literally have particles that have been everything, and I do mean everything under the sun. There's no getting away from it. Inside you, you've got every religion, every sexual orientation, every color. Now, at the particle level, what's even cooler is there's no race, there's no religion, there's no anything. They're completely neutral. It's what we put upon them. It's how we form them into being with our expectations. And we will be talking starting tomorrow, I think. This week, I think, about the collective conscious and what that is, and how all of our expectations mesh together and start to pull experiences into our reality, okay? And that's part of why I'm so determined, the more of us that can help ourselves understand the science behind this, and then help that to help us elevate and up-level ourselves, then the better for everyone, because we start putting out a better frequency, okay? So I want to leave you with that thought. So when you go out into the world, today, wherever you are in the world, I want you to think about, as you pass people, it's the idea of namaste, and for those of you who've done yoga, you'll be familiar. I see the same spirit in me that I see in you. We are one, okay? And, when they were creating yoga, when they came up with Namaste, they were right. And they may not have known they were right at a scientific level, but they were right. The same spirit in me is in you, and the same spirit in you is in me. We are literally one. And so as you walk by people, one of the things I love to do, because I do feel that at an energetic level, it really changes, one, myself, keeps me in a higher frequency. And it also, I believe, it sends out a frequency that helps others, is I walk by people, I acknowledge their spirit, and then I just say, I wish for you all the kindness and abundance in the universe. That's what I do. And I imagine them having whatever it is that they desire in their life. And so that's one thing I would like for you guys to maybe try, see how it feels. You can be sitting at a stoplight and just send out a little bit of kindness to the people around you, or wherever that might be. So I'd like you to think about that as well. So as you are now thinking over the next little bit, a simple exercise I'd like you to do is to think about, what would you like to release from your life? So what would you like to have turn from solid to energy? Okay. And then I would like you to imagine that you can close your eyes and imagine it melting away from you, going away, flowing away in smoke, and then see it turn into, what would you like to attract? Okay. Imagine that same energy you just melted off is coming back to you in ways that are abundant, that are joyful, that are manifestations in alignment with your dream life. So I have a few more little practice questions I'll put up, that if you want to journal on them, you can do that. If not, just use these simple practices and that will be fantastic and more than enough. I really hope that this is something that was super helpful. Tomorrow we're going to start blazing through, and I love the science. I hope you guys are enjoying the science of it. I got to be honest, when people come to work with me, they really almost never ask me about the science. However, for me, I think because I'm an intuitive and a logical person at the same time, when I get to see that there is very solid science that backs up all of this, it just helps me believe in my intuitive self that I can align, that I can shift, that I can change. Okay, so hopefully this is really great. We've got some really cool science coming up. We are about to get to sort of the core of the flow method, which was kind of the discovery I made, and it changes everything. It will, once you understand it, we're going to use that with the flow factor, and we're going to personalize your action plan. And at that point, you're gonna be able to see how you start to shift those individual things in a really personalized way that's really effective for you. And that is a joy to experience. So, okay, I apologize, I went 23 minutes. I'm trying to keep these short, but I get very excited about these things. So please let me know if you have any questions. And until next time, my cute little daughter, you want to say hi? You want to say hi? Are you hiding? So we are actually going to go get some dinner, pate, something. I appreciate you guys being here, and do let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you again tomorrow for some more, hopefully mind-bending science, and then how you apply it to yourself. Have a beautiful day. I will see you guys soon. Bye.